Ravi worked in the tall silver building of the Universal Trade Bank, floating in space above the planet Kruna. He was not a banker. He was not an officer. He was just a small technician, the one who fixed wires, cleaned floors, and checked machines. When they stopped working, every day, Ravi walked through the big glass halls where people in shiny suits talked loudly about credits, numbers, and new trade deals. Nobody ever greeted him. Nobody even looked at him. But that didn't bother Ravi. He was used to it. Still, there was one place he hated the most. Level 9, also known by workers as the Laughing Room. It was where the senior bankers had their private lounge. It had soft chairs, tall windows showing the stars, and a smell of sweet coffee and power. Every time Ravi went there to fix something, they laughed at him. "Ah, here comes the treasure hunter," said Drex, a proud officer with golden pins on his coat. "Did you find your gold on Dead Earth yet, Ravi?" The others laughed. Some even clapped MOCKINGL. Ravi just smiled quietly and continued his work. He had heard these jokes for years. They called him strange, foolish, and poor. But Ravi had a secret they didn't know. He believed Earth still had something valuable hidden beneath its dust and ruins. He had read old books. He had studied ancient maps. And every night, after his long shift, he stayed in his small room, scanning old data files from the forgotten parts of the galaxy. While others chased quick money, Ravi was chasing history. One evening, Ravi was called to repair a broken satellite core brought in from deep space. It was an old model, really old, maybe from Earth's last century, before humans left their home. The machine was dirty and cracked, and nobody expected it to work again. But Ravi saw something special. As he cleaned the inside, a tiny screen blinked. "Welcome to Data Core ZH11. Loading archive map. Sector Himalaya, Earth." Ravi's hands froze. He stared at the glowing lines. A red X blinked on the map. Coordinates were written below. 2759 N86 55 I. His heart beat fast. He had seen these numbers before in an old storybook about world gold reserves. The Himalayas. It was where legends spoke of a deep vault built by the last Earth Alliance before the final wars and disasters. A place meant to hold gold that could restart the economy if Earth ever healed again. No one ever found that vault. People thought it was just a myth. But here it was, in front of him. Ravi copied the data onto his personal device and closed the core. The next day, Ravi walked into the Laughing Room. The bankers were enjoying fruit drinks and laughing at trade jokes. Drex saw him and smirked. "What now, treasure hunter?" "Another broken map?" Ravi stood straight. "I found something. A vault. On Earth, it could be the lost reserve." The room went silent for a second. Then laughter exploded. "Earth?" said Drex, wiping a tear from his eye. "That dusty graveyard? There's nothing there but broken cities and sandstorms." "But I have proof," Ravi said softly. "Then go find it," Drex said with a grin. "And bring us some gold coins. When you return." They laughed again, but Ravi didn't laugh. That night, he packed his bag, charged an old cargo ship he had bought years ago, and left a message for the space station manager. Taking personal leave. Destination, Earth. He didn't need anyone's help. He didn't want anyone's doubt. He was going home. As the ship flew through the dark sky, Ravi looked down at Earth, the blue and green, now mostly gray and brown. Once the heart of human life, now just a forgotten ball in space. He felt no fear. Only hope. Maybe he would find nothing. Maybe the vault was empty or lost forever. But even if he failed, at least he would try. That was the difference between him and the bankers. They laughed. He believed. Ravi's cargo ship, small and old, slowly entered Earth's orbit. The planet looked quiet, sad, and empty. Long ago, Earth had been full of life, light, and sound. Now gray clouds covered the sky, and broken cities lay silent under dust and snow. But Ravi's eyes were full of hope. He guided his ship toward the coordinates shown on the map deep in the old Himalayan region. The mountains still stood tall, though many were now half buried in ice and fallen stone. The air was cold, and the ground cracked from long years of storms and earthquakes. The ship landed near an old research outpost. It looked empty, but some walls still stood, covered in ice and vines. Ravi stepped outside wearing a thick survival suit. The wind was sharp. The silence was loud. He opened his map again. The red X blinked near a cliff edge, close to the mountain's base. "This is it," Ravi whispered. "Now the real work begins." Ravi started his search with a ground scanner. He had brought a small digging tool, a power torch, and a data device. The scanner beeped slowly at first. He moved it in wide circles, walking carefully over icy rocks. The day passed quietly, no signals, no signs, but Ravi didn't give up. He built a small tent for shelter and stayed through the freezing night. The stars above were bright, and the wind howled through the mountains. Still, he slept peacefully. He was closer than anyone had been in centuries. The next morning, something changed. As the sun rose weakly over the peaks, Ravi's scanner made a soft beep, then another, and another. He followed the beeping sound until he reached a narrow path. Hidden behind sharp rocks, it led to a flat wall of stone. The scanner buzzed louder. Ravi touched the wall. It felt strange, too smooth, too perfect for natural stone. He knocked on it gently. Clink. It echoed back hollow. "There's something behind this," he said. He took out his power torch and began to cut. The wall was thick and slow to melt. But after 2 hours, a small tunnel opened. Behind it was darkness. Ravi pointed his light inside and gasped. A metallic door, round and strong, stood hidden deep inside the mountain. Old writing covered it. Not just any writing, Earth's old global language. His scanner translated it. "Global Reserve Vault, access code required." Ravi's hands shook. He had found it. Back on the space station, Drek sat in his comfortable chair, reading news reports. One of the junior officers walked in. "Sir, we just got a signal from the Ravi boy's ship," he said. "He's landed on Earth. He's searching." Drex laughed. "Let him dig in the snow. When he comes back empty, maybe he'll finally stop with his silly stories." "But sir," the officer added, "he sent a picture of a vault door. It looks real." Drex stood up slowly. "A vault?" "Yes, sir. He sent the image to the Galactic Council's archive too, for legal claim." Drex's smile faded. Could the fool actually be right? Back on Earth, Ravi worked day and night. The vault door required a code, and Ravi didn't have it. But he remembered something from the satellite's old files. There was a backup method for emergency access. It used a retinal scan and a special phrase. He found a control panel hidden behind ice. It was old, but still powered by solar cells. He cleaned the screen and spoke the phrase he read in the archive. "For the world that was, and the future that may be." The panel blinked. Then the door made a soft click. It opened. A slow rush of cold air escaped from the dark. Tunnel inside. Lights on the ceiling turned on one by one. Ravi stepped inside. What he saw left him breathless. The room stretched far and deep. Thick walls made of steel. Boxes stacked high. Gold bars, shining, clean, untouched by time. Each bar was marked with a code and stamp. World Reserve, year 2081, final protocol. He opened one of the data boxes on the side. A message played. This vault was created to hold the final World Reserve. If Earth ever falls and rises again, this gold is to be used for peace and rebuilding. This is the legacy of humanity. Tears filled Ravi's eyes. This was not just gold. This was history, memory, a gift from the past. For the future, he quickly recorded everything, took photos, and created a legal file. Using his ship's system, he sent it to the Galactic Council of Records. Within minutes, he received a response. Vault discovery confirmed. Ownership and rights granted to Ravi of Earth. Total value, 30 billion galactic credits estimated. He had done it. He had found the treasure of Earth. And he had done it alone. Meanwhile, the bankers on the station were no longer laughing. Drex sat frozen as he read the council's message. Ravi's name was all over the headlines. Former technician discovers Earth's lost vault. $30 billion in gold belongs to simple worker. Galactic Council honors historic find. Drex closed his screen slowly. The fool was not a fool, he whispered, but Ravi did not rush back to the station. He stayed for a few more days, carefully studying the vault and recording its contents. He wanted to understand everything before leaving. He sat inside the vault, eating a simple meal, thinking about the past. People laughed at Earth, laughed at me, he said softly. But they forgot something. He looked around at the gold, the quiet lights, the message from the old world. They forgot that humans always rise again. Ravi stood in the heart of the ancient vault, looking at the gold bars stacked like quiet mountains. Everything was still. The soft white lights on the ceiling hummed gently. This place had not seen a human in more than 400 years, but it had waited patiently, untouched and undisturbed. He walked slowly between the rows, checking every corner. Every box had been carefully sealed. Each one carried the same seal, for peace, for rebirth, for humanity. Ravi now had the legal ownership of this vault. The Galactic Council had already confirmed it, but to him it was more than just money. It was proof that Earth was never truly empty. It held stories, secrets, and strength deep within its bones. Outside the vault, the wind blew hard, sending snow across the rocky land. Ravi stood at the entrance, looking at the broken world. The Earth had become silent, but it was not dead. And now, because of this discovery, others would look at Earth again, with respect. In the days that followed, Ravi stayed near the vault. He set up a small research base using parts from his ship. He wanted to study the area and record everything properly. He took notes, scanned the structure, and sent reports to the Galactic Archive. While working, he found something strange. About 50 meters from the vault's door, he discovered a hidden hatch beneath the ice. It was old and rusty, but still locked tight. Using his tools, Ravi carefully opened it. Below was a metal staircase that led into darkness. With a flashlight in hand, he climbed down. The air was dry and thin, but the walls were strong. After a few minutes, he reached another room. This one was filled with old computers, paper files, and devices he had never seen before. He pressed a button on one of the machines. Surprisingly, it turned on. The screen blinked slowly, showing a welcome message. Welcome to Earth Central Storage Unit, Backup Memory 9. A list of files appeared. Ravi scrolled through them. Human culture records, pre-Exodus technology plans, medical advances archive, biodome designs, space travel blueprints. His eyes widened. This wasn't just a gold vault. It was also a knowledge bank. Earth had not only saved money, but also the wisdom to rebuild life. These are gifts, Ravi said to himself. Gifts for the future. He copied everything to a secure disk. He knew the bankers would be even more shocked when they learned what else Earth had hidden. Back at the Universal Trade Bank on Kruna Station, news was spreading fast. All major media networks were talking about Ravi. A quiet man finds the greatest vault in history. From cleaner to richest man in the sector, Ravi brings honor back to Earth. Drex, the banker who used to laugh the most, sat silently in his office. The laughter was gone. His pride had been cracked open like a weak shell. He watched Ravi's messages again and again. How had a man like that done something so big? A junior officer knocked. Sir, the board wants to talk about Ravi's discovery. There's a question about Earth's new value rating. And also he requested a meeting. Drex frowned. A meeting? Yes, sir. He wants to discuss a possible partnership. 1 week later, Ravi returned to the station. He walked through the same glass halls where people used to ignore him. Now everyone turned to look. Some tried to greet him, some simply stared. His clothes were the same, simple and neat, but his name was now respected across the galaxy. He entered the tall conference room on level 9, where the bankers used to laugh. Now they stood when he walked in. Drex was there too, sitting at the head of the table. His face was tight with forced smiles. Ravi nodded politely and took a seat. "I'm here to offer something," Ravi said calmly. "I found Earth's gold vault, but I also found something else. Knowledge, science, a way to rebuild Earth and help others too." The room was silent. "I'm not here to sell it," he continued. "I want to use it. I want to rebuild Earth. I want to open schools, centers, and research labs. And I want to do it with people who believe in building, not just earning." One of the bankers spoke. "But Mr. Ravi, why come to us?" Ravi smiled softly. "Because I want you to see what real value looks like. And I want to give you a chance to be part of something better." Even Drex had no words. In the following weeks, things began to change. Ravi started a program called Project Earthlight. It focused on cleaning parts of Earth, building safe zones, and inviting scientists and workers from human colonies to return and help. He offered jobs to workers from poor stations. He funded schools for children who had never seen real trees. He started a fund to support lost Earth languages, music, and books. And he never showed off. He never wore gold rings or drove flying cars. He still walked alone, quietly, thinking, dreaming, planning. One evening, Ravi sat near a fresh water spring built by his team in the lower valley. He looked at the stars above and smiled. People had forgotten Earth. They had called it dead. They had laughed at him. But now they remembered. Now they believed again, because one man had dared to believe when no one else did. Ravi stood once again at the entrance of the ancient vault. Snow gently fell around him as sunlight touched the mountain peaks. His team had started arriving, engineers, historians, and scientists from different parts of the galaxy. Most of them were humans from poor colonies who had never even seen Earth before. They followed him with quiet respect. Ravi did not act like a ruler. He welcomed them with a warm smile, gave clear instructions, and worked beside them. Every day, more people arrived, ready to help and learn. They were not drawn by gold alone. They came because Ravi gave them hope. Inside the vault, work had begun. It was no longer just a secret chamber filled with wealth. It was becoming a living history center. Ravi allowed carefully planned exploration of every section. Experts opened the sealed boxes one by one, documenting each piece of gold, each document, and each device. One box carried emergency food seeds, preserved for 400 years. Another had detailed blueprints for clean energy plants. A third box contained letters from the past, written by leaders and workers who built the vault. One letter read, "We may fall, but if someone finds this, remember what we tried to protect. Not money, not power, but the chance to begin again." Ravi read the letter aloud to the team. No one spoke for a moment. Some people even had tears in their eyes. The gold was valuable, yes. But the real treasure was the faith the old world had left behind. The Galactic Council sent observers to visit the site. One of them, a respected elder named Meena, walked beside Ravi as he showed her around. "I expected a man in a suit," Meena sighed. "With guards and lawyers," Ravi smiled. "I don't need to wear gold to feel its weight," Meena nodded. "You've done something rare. You've made the galaxy look at Earth with respect again." "I didn't do it alone," Ravi replied. "I just believed in it." News of the vault's gold spread far across the star systems. Many rich companies and space banks tried to buy shares. They offered Ravi huge amounts of money to sell parts of the reserve. Ravi refused every time. One day, Drex himself sent a request to visit Earth. Ravi allowed it. Drex arrived in a shiny private ship, stepping carefully onto the old soil of Earth. He wore thick boots, expensive gloves, and a nervous expression. His eyes looked around at the repaired outpost, the clean air stations, and the new buildings being built by Ravi's workers. Ravi greeted him calmly. "You came," Ravi said. Drex forced a smile. "I had to see it myself," Ravi nodded. "Come, I'll show you the vault." Inside, Drex walked slowly, staring at the walls of gold and the rows of stored knowledge. He couldn't believe it. So much wealth. So much history. "I misjudged." "You," Drex admitted. "You judged what you saw," Ravi replied. "But you never looked deeper." Drex looked around. "So what now? You'll become the richest man in history?" "No," Ravi said softly. "I will become the man who helps Earth rise again." Over the next few months, Earth began to change. Ravi used a part of the gold to build clean water systems in dry zones, solar power fields in open lands, a medical base for research and treatment, a university named the New Light Institute, open for all people from across the galaxy, sent messages of support. Some alien leaders praised Ravi's peaceful efforts. A few even offered their help in rebuilding projects. For the first time in hundreds of years, Earth was no longer called a forgotten world. Now, it was called a world of hope. But not everyone was happy. Some powerful trade groups worried that Ravi's actions would reduce their control. They didn't like that a man from Earth, a man with no high rank or family name, had become the most respected figure in the human worlds. They tried to pressure the Galactic Council to limit Ravi's reach. The Council refused. One counselor said during the hearing, he used no weapons. He started no war. He simply found what we had forgotten. We will not punish wisdom. One evening, Ravi sat outside the vault, beside a small fire. The stars above were clear. He drank warm tea and listened to the wind. One of his team members, a young girl named Mira, sat nearby. "Ravi," she asked, "why didn't you keep the gold for yourself?" Ravi looked at her and smiled. "Because gold can shine in the dark, but it cannot guide you," he said. "A dream is more powerful. And Earth's dream is not finished yet." Mira nodded. "Will it ever be finished?" Ravi looked up at the sky. "No," he said. "Because every generation must add something new." As the night deepened, Ravi walked alone to the vault's door one last time. He placed his hand on the metal and whispered, "You waited a long time, but now your silence has ended." He turned around and walked back to his camp. Behind him, the stars blinked softly. Earth was not lost. Had only been waiting for someone to listen. Months had passed since Ravi discovered the vault on Earth. The mountains that once stood silent and forgotten were now busy with new life. Workers repaired old roads, built research stations, and cleaned broken satellites around the planet. Ravi, the once ignored technician, had become a symbol of hope. His name was now known across the galaxy. People called him many things: the Gold Finder, the Earthriser, and even the Quiet Leader. But Ravi never asked for titles. He never wanted fame. He only wanted Earth to rise again. One day, Ravi received a message from the Universal Trade Bank on Kruna Station. It was from the chairman himself. "You are invited to a special board meeting. Your presence is requested to discuss partnership options and financial matters related to the vault." Ravi stared at the message for a long time. He knew what this meant. The same people who once laughed at him were now calling him back, not as a cleaner, but as a man of great value. Ravi arrived at Kruna Station quietly. No security team. No royal welcome. Just a small bag, a tablet, and his calm smile. As he stepped out of the ship, he noticed the change. People who used to walk past him now nodded in greeting. Some whispered to each other, "That's him, the Earthman. He found the gold, right? He owns a whole planet now." But Ravi didn't stop to listen. He walked toward the tall, silver building he once cleaned. His steps were slow but steady. The meeting room on level 9 was full. All the board members were present. The large round table, the glass walls, and the city view outside looked just as he remembered. But today, he was not the cleaner in the corner. He was the guest of honor. Drex was also there, sitting silently. He had lost much of his proud expression. He looked at Ravi and gave a small nod. Ravi returned the nod, but said nothing. The chairman stood up. "Mr. Ravi," he said, "thank you for coming. We believe there is a great opportunity here, for Earth, for the bank, and for humanity." Ravi looked around the room. "Before we speak of gold," he said calmly, "let us speak of memory." The room went silent. "You all remember me as the man who cleaned your halls, who fixed your screens, and who spoke of Earth while you laughed. But Earth is not a joke, and people like me, we are not weak." He paused. "I am not here to sell gold. I am here to build a future." Some board members looked uncomfortable. A few shifted in their seats. But Ravi's voice remained clear. "I will offer something simple," he said. "You may join a new trade circle, the Earth Fund. It will help colonies that are poor and ignored. It will support clean technology, education, and honest trade. What will you gain?" One banker asked. "Nothing," Ravi said. "And that is why it will work." After the meeting, Ravi stepped outside. Drex followed him. "I never thought it would end like this," Drex said. Ravi turned to him. "It hasn't ended," he said. "It's just beginning." Drex looked at the floor. "I was wrong about you," Ravi smiled. "You were wrong about Earth." In the days that followed, the Earth Fund was approved by the Galactic Council. Ravi placed a large part of the vault's value, nearly 10 billion credits, into this fund. He gave control not to banks, but to small councils of scientists, builders, and teachers from different planets. The first projects began immediately. Clean water for a dry mining moon, solar schools for poor colonies, healing centers for refugees from space wars, Earth-based. Research scholarships. People across the stars began to talk. This man is changing the galaxy, all without war, without fear. A man from nowhere, reminded us of who we are. Ravi visited Earth often. He stayed in a simple home near the vault, surrounded by trees and small gardens planted by his team. Sometimes he would sit with children from the new schools, telling them old stories of Earth. Other times, he walked alone in the mountains, remembering his first visit, when the wind was cold and he was alone. Now, the air was warmer. The silence was softer. Earth was breathing again. One day, a group of young visitors from a space colony arrived. They wanted to see the vault and meet the man they had only seen on screens. A boy asked him, "Why didn't you just take the gold and live on a rich planet?" Ravi smiled. "Because riches are not just for the hand," he said. "They are for the heart. If gold helps only one man, it's heavy. But if it helps many, it becomes light." The children listened quietly. That day, they didn't just learn about the vault. They learned about wisdom. Ravi's name was later added to the Galactic Archive of Peace Builders. But he never attended the ceremony. He was on Earth, planting trees. When someone asked him why he didn't go, he answered simply, "I don't need a statue. I have soil, sky, and the future." Earth was no longer a forgotten world. Once buried under dust and silence, it now echoed with life again. Green fields stretched where ruins once lay, and clean rivers flowed through valleys once dry. Children played near solar towers. Scientists studied the stars from old hills. Trees, crops, and laughter returned. And at the center of it all was Ravi, the man who once cleaned broken wires and believed in lost maps. But now, he was not alone. Across the galaxy, humans who had left Earth generations ago started returning. Some came with tools and dreams. Some came with questions and memories. All came with hope. They walked on the land, their ancestors had left behind. They touched old stone, sat under new trees, and felt something powerful rise inside them. It was not just pride, it was belonging. Ravi welcomed each group himself. He made time for everyone: farmers, engineers, doctors, and artists. He listened to their stories, helped them find places to live, and guided them toward the Earthlight. Projects that now covered every continent. One of the biggest projects was the New Horizon Dome, a city built near the Himalayas with schools, labs, gardens, and homes made from local stone and modern tech. It ran on clean energy. It used smart farming. It taught Earth history in every school. And at the heart of the city was a sign that read, "We return not for gold, but for growth." Many alien leaders also visited Earth during this time. Some came out of curiosity. Others came to offer friendship. One leader, Elder Jor of the Talari people, met with Ravi in a small mountain hall. "You did something many worlds failed to do," Jor said. "You turned ruins into roots," Ravi smiled. "Earth taught me that. Even after fire, the soil remembers how to grow." Jor looked out the window at the young trees swaying in the wind. "Your people are stronger than we thought." "We were always strong," Ravi replied. "But no one noticed until we stood tall again." Back on Kruna Station, the same bank where Ravi had once worked looked very different. The board had changed. More human voices now filled the meetings. New leaders came from small colonies, not just rich planets. Many had studied under programs funded by the Earth Fund. Even Drex, once proud and cold, had softened. He often spoke of fairness and long-term value. Some said he had learned from Ravi's quiet strength. One day, the bank officially announced a partnership with the Earth Trade Council, a new human-led group focused on honest trade and fair development. This time, Ravi didn't walk into the room as a stranger. He walked in as a partner. But Ravi never stopped working. He still walked the mountain paths. He still visited schools and farms. One day, while inspecting a solar village near the equator line, a little girl named Tani ran up to him with a flower. "Teacher Ravi," she said, "is it true you found gold inside a mountain?" "Yes," Ravi said, kneeling beside her. "Long ago I did." "Why didn't you keep it all?" she asked, tilting her head. Ravi looked at the flower in her hand and smiled. "Because it was waiting for someone who would share it." Tani nodded seriously, as if she understood more than her age allowed. "I'll share my flower too," she said, and she placed it gently in Ravi's hand. That evening, Ravi sat alone on a hill. The flower rested on a stone beside him. The stars above were clear. He remembered the old days, when he had worked alone, when the world had forgotten Earth, and when people laughed at his dreams. Now, the stars felt closer, the laughter had changed, and the world listened. One of Ravi's team members, an engineer named Haroon, joined him on the hill. "We've completed the underground tech center," Haroon said. "The one near the vault." "Good," Ravi nodded. "It has everything: labs, study rooms, living quarters. Young minds from all over will come here." "They will carry the torch," Ravi said. Haroon looked up at the sky. "Do you ever feel tired?" Ravi shook his head slowly. "I feel full." Soon after, the Galactic News Network released a special report, "Earth, from Ashes to Glory." How one man's discovery sparked a global revival. The broadcast showed images of the vault, the green fields, the new cities, and the smiling children. It ended with a quiet video of Ravi planting a tree. The voiceover said, "In a world where many seek riches, one man found gold and gave it away, not for power, but for people." The word spread far, even on distant planets where humans were few. Young people began to study Earth again. Schools started teaching the story of Ravi, not as a legend, but as a lesson. The galaxy had doubted humans. Now, they admired them. And behind it all, behind the respect, behind the progress, was one quiet man who never stopped believing. That night, As Earth's sky turned orange with the setting sun, Ravi stood at the edge of the vault one more time. He looked down at the land. He could hear the sound of children playing in the valley. He could smell the green life in the wind. He closed his eyes. He did not speak. He simply smiled because he knew human pride had been reborn. The air was fresh on Earth. The sun shone warmly over the hills where green trees danced in the breeze. Birds sang songs that had not been heard for centuries. The world was alive again. Ravi stood quietly at the edge of a new garden. Children laughed nearby, chasing butterflies. He watched them, smiling softly. It had been a long journey, from a lowly technician on a space station to the man who found the lost vault of gold and helped Earth rise again. But Ravi did not seek praise or glory. He sought only one thing: a better future for humanity. Back on Kruna Station, the place where bankers once mocked him, a small change had taken place. The powerful officers who had once sneered now looked at him with respect. Some even bowed slightly when he passed. Drex, the proud banker who had laughed the loudest, now greeted Ravi with a nod of honor. One day, Drex asked quietly, "How did you do it? How did a simple man like you change everything?" Ravi looked at him kindly. "I never stopped believing," he said. "And I never stopped working. Sometimes that is enough." Drex smiled and said, "You taught me something important. Pride is not about power. It is about hope." Ravi's days were peaceful, but busy. He still visited schools, farms, and workshops. He still helped build homes and plant trees. He loved the quiet moments best. Sometimes, he walked the same halls he once cleaned, now filled with people who dreamed of new worlds. He never forgot how it felt to be ignored, laughed at, and pushed aside. That memory kept him humble. One evening, Ravi sat outside under the stars. Meera, a young scientist who had joined his team years ago, sat beside him. "Ravi," she said softly, "you changed the galaxy. But you never changed yourself." Ravi smiled, "Because who I am is what helped me change others." Meera looked up at the night sky. "Do you ever miss the old days?" "Sometimes," Ravi said, "but I don't want to go back. The past taught me lessons. The future gives me hope." They sat quietly, watching the stars blink in the dark. News of Ravi's work had spread beyond humans. Many alien worlds respected what he had done. A peaceful message arrived from the Galactic Council. Ravi's discovery reminds us all that even small voices can echo across the stars. His work shows that hope, patience, and kindness are the greatest powers of all. Ravi read the message and nodded. He was proud, not of wealth or fame, but of what humanity could do when it stood together. One day, a small ceremony was held near the vault. A new tree was planted to mark the moment Earth truly began again. Children from different planets helped dig the soil. Scientists gave speeches about peace and cooperation. Ravi stood quietly at the back. He did not need a spotlight. The smiles of those around him were enough. A young girl handed him a small flower. "Thank you for never giving up," she said. Ravi took the flower and smiled. "Thank you for believing," he replied. As years passed, Earth grew stronger. The old vault remained safe, not just as a treasure, but as a symbol that even when forgotten and laughed at, humans could rise. That strength came not from weapons or power, but from heart. From belief. From quiet courage. One day, a visitor asked Ravi, "What is the secret of your success?" Ravi looked out at the green fields and shining cities. He thought of the long nights, the lonely journeys, the silent hope. He smiled gently. "The secret," he said, "is simple. Never stop believing, never stop trying, and never forget where you came from." The visitor nodded slowly, understanding. Ravi walked once more through the halls of the Universal Trade Bank. This time, the halls were full of new faces, new dreams, and new hope. People looked at him not as a fool, but as a leader. But Ravi stayed humble. He kept his old tools in a small box, reminders of the past, because he knew the journey was never about gold or glory. It was about people. About humanity. And so, the story of Ravi ended not with a shout, but a quiet victory. A victory for Earth, for humans, for the power of hope. For the proof that even when the world laughs, a single heart can change everything.